Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel for another episode of the Routes Learning series, this time recorded in Train Sim World 2. Whilst many of you are already aware, I do prefer driving in Train Simulator as the driving experience feels more realistic, even if the graphics aren't quite as fancy, but there's a lot of routes and trains now available in Train Sim World 2 that I hadn't yet covered, and I really wanted to get back to making some more videos within this simulator. Being able to record Train Sim World 2 videos in 4K at 60 frames per second really helps to highlight just how good it can look, and in case anyone was wondering, I know that I've gone through the specs of my computer a couple of times on the channel before, but for those who are new to my channel or new to my Train Sim World 2 videos, then the computer that I'm using is running on an Intel Core i9-10900K processor with 16GB of Corsair DDR4 RAM and an NVIDIA RTX 3070 graphics card. The journey I'm driving today is on the Cathcart Circle route in the Glasgow area in Scotland. I'm using timetable mode for this run, set in summer with light cloud, and the service that I've chosen to drive is train 2 November 03, which is the 6:29am Scotrail service from Neilston through to Glasgow Central. And our stops along the way will include Patterton, Whitecraigs, Williamwood, Muirend, Cathcart, Mt Florida, Crosshill, Queen's Park, Pollokshields East, and finally Glasgow Central, with a total distance for this journey being just over 11 miles. The train that I'm driving for this journey is the Class 314 electric multiple unit. The Class 314s are based on British Rail's 1971 prototype suburban EMU design, along with the Class 313, 315, 507 and 508 units. The Class 314s were constructed by British Rail Engineering Limited at Holgate Road in York in 1979, with a total of 16 of these units constructed. They were in service from 1979 until their withdrawal in 2019 to be replaced by the Class 385 units. Each unit is formed of 3 coaches and is just under 60 metres in length, or around 195 feet, and they weigh around 102 tonnes. They run on the 25 kilovolts 50Hz AC overhead electrification system and have a power output of 880 horsepower per 3-car unit. They have a maximum speed of 70 miles per hour, but the maximum speed limit on this journey today will be 55 miles per hour. Now we're in the cab of the unit, I'm just going to quickly go through the startup procedure here. So on the reversing handle we've got the master key switch, so I'm just going to click on that and then drag it to the right to turn on the master key. I'm going to press Control and Enter and Shift and Enter to turn on the driver safety device and also the AWS system, though I don't think you're going to hear the driver safety device go off on this journey, just because I'll be moving the throttle too much. So now I'm going to move the reversing handle to the neutral position and reset the AWS self-test sequence. I noticed that the brakes are now dropping to 0, so I'm just going to reapply the brakes there, as we really shouldn't have no braking when we're not moving. So now I've done that, I'm going to put the reversing handle into the forward position ready for departure. So let's just quickly go through the controls here. So just up here you've got the headlight control, so I'm going to press the H key until it says headlights and marker lights. Now just here we've got a standard West Code 3-step brake, so you've got the release position, step 1, step 2, step 3 and finally the emergency position. Now generally you try not to go above step 2 of braking, though I don't know if that's quite so important in terms of passenger comfort when you're driving a sort of high frequency stop commuter journey like this one is. And I know that there's going to be a couple of points, because I'm still not fully practiced with driving this, where I'm going to end up having to use short bursts of step 3 braking, but generally try not to go above step 2 unless the gradient, for example you're on a downhill gradient, means that you do have to apply some harder braking or something. Now continuing around the cab here, you can see there we've got the brake gauge to the right of the speedometer, so the right hand needle shows you how hard the brakes are applied, so 0 means fully released, and the higher the number is pointing, then the higher the brake cylinder pressure, and so the harder the brakes are applied. Then in front of us we've got a nice easy to read speedometer in this unit, and just below that we have the horn control, which is a 2-toned horn, controllable with the spacebar and the N key. And so now we've looked at that, I don't think there's much more to really talk about in terms of the setup procedure here. It's pretty much ready to go, so let's just take another look at the train and depart out towards Glasgow Central. As we depart away from Neilston, the speed limit here is 55 miles per hour, with around 3.5 miles to go to the first stop, which is Patterton. We're now on a descending grade of around 1 in 104, so in a moment I'm going to shut off the power around 50 miles per hour and just allow the train to coast up towards 55. So the power's off and you can see the speedometer needle is just slowly creeping up towards 55. I will use step 1 of braking when we reach 55 just to ensure that we don't break the speed limit. We're actually going to be on a descending grade for over half of this journey towards Glasgow. So now I've reached 55, step 1 of braking, bring our speed down to around 52 or 53. Now release the brakes and just allow the train to coast again back up towards 55. There will be a short level gradient coming up shortly, but there's no point in adding any power as we're going to be quickly descending once again shortly after that. I think we've just reached that level gradient now, as we don't appear to be gaining any speed. In a moment you should see just ahead of us, it's actually a visible gradient change as we start to go down once again. In fact, I can see it just here. You can see that the track ahead is on a descent. So once again I'm going to need to use step 1 of braking to control our speed. As you can see here, the tracks split apart momentarily before rejoining each other, and at the signal where the tracks split we've got around half a mile to go to an upcoming 50 mile per hour speed limit, and I'm going to brake for that 50 at the end of this right hand curve here. The speed limit's now 50 for this bridge. The gradient levels out once again before descending again shortly after the bridge. So there's a left curve just after the bridge, and then the grade will be going to down 1 in 121 grade. We're now getting close to Patterton station. I'm going to apply the brakes for our stop shortly after entering this left-hand curve here. So it's the second left-hand curve after the bridge that we crossed. We are still on a downgrade, which will affect our braking along here. I might be braking slightly too early. We'll soon find out. Maybe just a little bit, but I can see the platforms at Patterton coming up just ahead. Here at Patterton station, I'm looking out for the S/6 sign near the end of the platform. I can see that just coming up on the left there. We're probably coming in a bit quick. Just brief burst of full service braking to ensure that we slow down in time. The downhill gradient does mean that we have to brake a little bit harder than perhaps I would normally, but we should now be stopped in just about the right place. As we depart away from Patterton, the speed limit here is still 50 miles per hour. We're still on a downward gradient, and we've got around a mile to go to the next stop, which is Whitecraigs. So I'm going to shut off the power in a moment at around 45 miles per hour and just allow the train to coast at this point due to the downward gradient that we're on. You can see a right-hand curve which is coming up just ahead. At the start of this curve we've got around half a mile to go. Now we've reached the end of this right-hand curve. I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds and then I'm going to start applying the brakes, ready for Whitecraigs station. Again, I might be braking a little bit early, but I'm trying to be cautious. I've run through this journey twice already and I'm still struggling a little bit with the braking on these units. In fact, I reduced the braking there when perhaps I shouldn't have done. Here at Whitecraigs, I want to stop at the 3-car stop sign, which is near the footbridge and passenger information system. So you can see it just coming up on the left-hand side there, just a quick burst of full service braking, just to bring our speed down a little bit more, and now I'm probably slowing down a bit too quick. That's it, and just as the information system disappears, we should now be stopping in just about the right place. As we depart away from Whitecraigs, the speed limit here is still 50 miles per hour with just over 3/4 of a mile to go to the next stop at Williamwood, and we're still on a downward gradient. As I said, we are going to be going downhill most of the way to Glasgow. Once again, as we go along here, I'm going to shut off the power at around 45 miles per hour and just allow the train to coast. So doing 45 now. Shut off the power, and then the train will coast up towards 50. So we're going to enter this quite a long sweeping left-hand curve. We're going to cross this bridge here, and it was difficult for me to find a correct braking point along here, so I'm just going to wait about 10 to 15 seconds after crossing the bridge, and then I'm going to apply the brakes ready for Williamwood station. Now see the end of the platform just coming up there, so I've made a step 2 brake application, and that's bringing our speed down quite nicely. Maybe not quite quick enough. Don't want to be entering the platform at 30 miles per hour, so again, just a short burst of full service braking. I mean, the good thing is that with commuter services, passenger comfort is less important than speed. And we're looking to stop at the 3-car stop sign you can see coming up just beyond this passenger information display here. We should now be stopped in just about the right place.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Mind the gap.
As we depart away from Williamwood, the speed limit is still 50 miles per hour. We're still on that downward gradient, and we've got around 1.3 miles to go to the next stop, which is Muirend. Once again, we're now reaching 45. I'm going to shut off the power and just allow the train to coast up towards 50. Now passing what appears to be an erroneous AWS warning, as we've got a warning to a green signal, so I think that might be just a little bug on the route that needs fixing at some point. At that signal we had around a mile to go to Muirend. Just applying a little bit of braking there as we reached 50 miles per hour. I'm going to apply the brakes for Muirend station as we reach the next signal. I can now see the platform at Muirend coming up. It's actually on the right hand side this time rather than on the left hand side. The gradient does level just before the station as well. I want to stop here at the 3-car stop sign, which is between the end of the platform roof on the right hand side and the footbridge at the end of the platform. This time I might be coming in a little bit too slowly, so just releasing the braking momentarily. Now we're on a level grade, of course, the brakes are a bit better, so I don't need to brake quite as hard as I did before. And the 3-car stop sign is a very small sign that I could see on the far right. You can't see it from this point, so it's a bit of a guesswork trying to make sure that I'm actually next to it. But I think if we stop by this overhead catenary post, then we should be stopped in just about the right place. As we depart away from Muirend, the speed limit is 50 miles per hour with just over half a mile to go to an upcoming 20 mile per hour speed limit, and we just passed the warning post for that now. So I'm going to once again shut off the power around 45 miles per hour, and I'm going to apply the brakes for that 20 speed limit at the next AWS ramp. I should also add that upon departing Muirend, we had around 3/4 of a mile to go to the next stop, which is Cathcart. So our speed's coming off quite nicely, and you can see the 20 mile per hour speed post coming up just ahead. So now we're doing 20 miles per hour. I'm just going to coast into Cathcart station, which is coming up just ahead. Here at Cathcart, I want to stop at the 3/4 car stop sign, which is around halfway along the platform. Probably coming in a bit quick there. It's just coming up on the right hand side. So again, just a quick burst of full surface braking just to ensure that we do stop in the right place. And we should now be stopped in just about the right place.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station. Luggage left unattended may be permitted to cycle, skateboard or rollerblade within the station building.
As we depart away from Cathcart, the speed limit was 20 miles per hour, though we've just passed a 40 mile per hour speed post just leaving the platform, so I'm just waiting just a few seconds until the rear of the train has cleared of that. And we've got around 2/3 of a mile to go to the next stop, which is Mt Florida. We've also got around 1/4 of a mile to go to an upcoming 35 mile per hour speed limit, which I just realised I forgot to mention, and that's coming into force just after this signal. So we're doing just over 35. I'm now shutting off the power. Let's just give us that notch of braking required to bring us down to 35 in time. And now we are down to 35. I'm going to coast at this point. We've got around 1/4 of a mile to go to our stop at Mt Florida. So just apply the brakes at the next right-hand curve before you can see Mt Florida station. And here at Mt Florida, I want to stop at the 3/4 car stop sign, which is by the footbridge steps towards the end of the platform. And we should now be stopping in just about the right place. As we depart away from Mt Florida here, the speed limit is 35 miles per hour with around a quarter of a mile to go to an upcoming 30 mile per hour speed limit, and just under half a mile to go to the next stop, which is Crosshill. So I'm just shutting off the power now to allow the train to coast. We're actually back on a downward gradient of around 1 in 77. I'm just going to apply some light braking now, as you can see the 30 mile per hour speed post just coming up here. I'm now going to use our brakes just to control the speed and ensure that we don't end up breaking that speed limit. And then I'm going to apply the brakes in a moment just as we see the platform at Crosshill Station. The gradient does actually level out just before we enter the platform. You can now see Crosshill Station just coming up here, so I want to stop at the 3/4 car stop sign, which is around halfway along the platform. You can see it just coming up on the right hand side there. So if we stop here, we should now be stopping in just about the right place. As we departed away from Crosshill, the speed limit was still 30 miles per hour, though it went very quickly up to 40 at the end of the platform. And we've got just under half a mile to go to the next stop, which is Queen's Park. I'm now shutting off the power at around 40 miles per hour as we've got a downgrade just there of 1 in 88. And you can now see Queen's Park Station coming up just ahead. I should also mention that the speed limit drops to 35 miles per hour just before entering the platform here. Now here at Queen's Park I couldn't see a 3-car stop sign, so I'm going to have to stop at the 6-car stop sign, which is near the end of the platform. We should now be stopped in just about the right place. As we depart away from Queen's Park, the speed limit is 35 miles per hour with around half a mile to go to a 30 mile per hour speed limit, but we've only got around a third of a mile to go to our next stop, which is Pollokshields East. So I did note that we were on a yellow signal there, and I would have stopped at this following signal if I had to. I probably accelerated a little bit too much there, to be honest. Should have been just a little bit more cautious, but I can see the signal here is clear. And just as we approach the signal, we're also approaching the station, so I've now got the brakes on so that we can stop here at Pollokshields East. I want to stop at the 3-car stop sign here, which is between the shelter coming up on the right-hand side and the footbridge ahead. So somewhere just on the right here. I think I might have missed it actually, so we might be stopped just slightly ahead of where we need to. As we depart away from Pollokshields East, the speed limit is still 35 miles per hour, but quickly dropping down to 30. And we've got around 1¼ miles to go to our next and final stop, which is Glasgow Central. And I actually looked there at that stop. I actually stopped pretty much right next to the 3-car stop sign, so I did in fact stop at the right place at Pollokshields East. Now we just need to slow down a bit more. I forgot to mention at this signal straight after the junction the speed limit is dropping to 25 miles per hour. Now I need to go between idle and low power to try and maintain the speed at around 25. So the route now joining us on the right hand side there is the West Coast Main Line, which runs of course from Glasgow down through Carlisle and Preston to London Euston. So the next speed change that will be coming up will be a further drop in the speed limit down to 20 miles per hour. So I've just got to keep an eye out ahead for that. So the 20 mile per hour speed limit comes into force straight after this first signal with the track or platform indicator. Now just going to allow the train to coast at 20. And I can see that we do have in fact a single yellow signal ahead, and just to mention at this point there is now no AWS for the rest of the distance into Glasgow Central Station. So I'm preparing to stop at the following red signal that you can see coming up just ahead. That signal has now jumped to single, now double yellow, which means we are cleared into the platforms here at Glasgow Central Station. The speed limit is still 20 miles per hour, though it's dropping to 15 miles per hour around the area of the next signal that you can see coming up. I'm now just going to bring us down towards 15 to ensure that we are down to 15 in time. And that is the final speed change as we approach the platforms here at Glasgow Central Station, though I will slow down to 10 miles per hour as we enter the platform. So we're just coasting into the station nicely. One thing I really wish that we had here is more variety of AI, I have to say. Especially for the West Coast Main Line. I mean, it's only a short section that they've put in, but it would be just nice just to see a Pendolino coming past, even if it wasn't drivable or something, just as AI, just to add some variety or something. And so we're now coming towards the end of the platform. I want to stop as the buffer stops disappear into the bottom of the driver's window. We should now be stopped in just about the right place, and so here we are, arrival at Glasgow Central. I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching this video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest channel updates, you can find me on Facebook at PTG Rail, with the link to that in the video description. If you'd like to donate or sponsor this channel, then please visit my Patreon page, with the link to that in the video description. And finally, if you're interested in my travel and wildlife photography, then please check out PTG Travelling on Instagram, and I've also put that in the video description. Once again, thank you for watching.